What happens when the bold vision of Africa meets the unstoppable force of innovation? When a revolutionary from Burkina Faso, who rose from the military to challenge global injustice, sits down with the man who wants to colonize Mars and redefine the future of humanity? This is not just a meeting. This is a collision of courage and genius. Ibrahim Traoré and Elon Musk, two different worlds. One shared mission: empower the youth, build the future, change the planet. Because the next global revolution won't come from America. It won't come from Silicon Valley. It will rise from Africa, from the minds of the youth, from bold conversations like this one. Let's dive in. What happens when the fearless rise of Africa meets the bold mind of global innovation? When Ibrahim Traoré, the revolutionary voice of Burkina Faso, joins hands with Elon Musk, the mind behind rockets and electric revolutions, isn't just a conversation, it's a global turning point. It's Africa stepping into the future with purpose, vision, and unshakable confidence. Ibrahim Traoré stands as a symbol of youth, leadership, and resistance against old systems. Elon Musk stands for disruption, space, and technology. Together, they stand for one undeniable truth: the world will change only when we empower the youth. Traoré doesn't ask for aid. He demands action, innovation, and dignity. He says, Africa is not poor, it's powerful, but we've been. Lead to, our youth are not hopeless, they're hungry. Hungry for leadership, for purpose, for truth. And Elon Musk looks into the heart of this vision and replies, opportunity is what turns talent into innovation. The youth of Africa are no different than those in Silicon Valley. They just need access, internet, education, and belief. That's where it begins. A joint vision to build tech hubs, digital infrastructure, solar-powered classrooms, and satellite internet that connects even the most rural village to the global brain. Imagine a continent where children learn coding, under the stars, where girls build robots, where villages light up with solar energy, and where the only thing exported is excellence. This is not fiction. This is the plan. Traoré believes that every child holding a laptop is more powerful than an army. He says we've trained fighters for too long, now we must train creators. Elon agrees solar isn't the future, it's the present, and Africa has more sunlight than anywhere else. Let's make that energy work for the people. Together they plan to light up schools, hospitals, and homes, not with aid, but with solar panels, batteries, and bold ideas. They envision a future where every African youth has internet from Starlink, mentorship from local leaders, and the mindset to build their own destiny. They speak of creating educational pipelines, where a child in Burkina Faso learns the same. Engineering that builds rockets in Texas. But it's deeper than just power and code. It's about respect, about control, about changing the narrative. We are no longer the continent that waits, Traoré says. We are the spark that leads. Elon nods, not as a billionaire, but as a believer. The next Tesla, the next SpaceX, it could come from here. Because I've seen the hunger in African youth. Hunger to learn, hunger to lead. And so they commit not just to building schools and tech hubs, but to shifting the story. No more pity, no more dependency. This is about creation, liberation, and belief. Africa will no longer be seen as a burden, but as a blueprint. Because real change doesn't come from speeches. It comes from strategy, from standing up, from linking arms across continents, from leaders like Traoré, who risk everything for the truth, and from builders like Musk, who dare to dream beyond Earth. To every young viewer out there in Africa or anywhere in the world, understand this. You don't need to leave your homeland to be great. You need to rise where you are. Learn fast, think big, build forward. Because if Ibrahim Traoré can rise from the battlefield to lead a nation with vision, and if Elon Musk can go from bullied boy to building rockets and rewiring the world, then you, yes, you can be the spark this world is waiting for. You don't have to ask for a seat at the table. Build your own. The next global revolution will rise from the streets of Ouagadougou, from the classrooms in Niger, from the deserts of Mali, from the minds of youth who dare to believe. The world is watching. It's your move now. Dream big. Lead loud. Never forget the future. Belongs to the bold. They sat in silence for a moment. Two giants from two different worlds, yet united by one mission: transformation. Ibrahim Traoré looked out over the horizon of Burkina Faso, not as a man satisfied with change, but as a man hungry for revolution. Elon Musk leaned forward, his eyes scanning maps, data, satellite grids, but his focus wasn't on Mars today. It was on Africa. The systems are broken, Traoré said firmly. Not just here, everywhere. From government to education. From infrastructure to innovation, the system is built to suppress, not to uplift. Elon nodded. And when systems fail, we don't wait, we build new ones. That one sentence became the spark for what came next, a joint movement neither built for applause nor headlines, but for impact. Their plan wasn't just to connect Africa, it was to reconstruct it from the ground up. Not with borrowed models from the West, but with frameworks rooted in African strength, culture, and vision. Traoré believed every African child should speak 3 languages, their native tongue, the language of leadership, and the language of technology. He said, "We have storytellers. Let's turn them into coders. We have farmers. Let's make them agri-technologists. We have fighters. Let's make them founders." Elon replied, "Let's build a curriculum that doesn't just teach, but trains for the future. Robotics, blockchain, AI, clean energy, not in theory, but in practice." Their vision turned into blueprints. Blueprints turned into labs. Labs into action. They called it Project Recode, not just recoding software, but recoding mindsets. Every hub had solar power, Starlink internet, and mentorship from African leaders and diaspora innovators. Every student in this movement was trained to think like a founder, not a follower, but they knew resistance would come. Traoré had already faced threats, internal and external. "When you empower the youth, you disrupt control," he said. "But I will not be silent while my people remain in the dark," Elon responded. "You've built courage. I'll bring the tools." Together, they launched the Africa Digital Sovereignty Fund, not dependent on the World Bank, not controlled by foreign governments, but owned by Africans, invested in Africans. Its purpose: fund 1 million young entrepreneurs across the continent in 10 years. "Every problem in Africa is a business waiting to happen," Traoré declared. "Let's fund solutions, not charities." This was more than politics or profit. This was legacy. Elon Musk had built empires, but this project gave him something else, meaning, "I want the child who watches a SpaceX launch in Burkina Faso to believe he can build his own," he said. "I want the African girl who sees solar panels in her village to ask how she can invent the next energy breakthrough." Traoré smiled. "And I want them both to do it without leaving home, because the goal wasn't brain drain. It was brain rain, turning Africa into a global engine of innovation where ideas don't escape. They rise from the soil. And then came the question, what happens after us? Both men knew they wouldn't lead forever. That's why they weren't building statues. They were building systems that outlive them, schools that teach critical thinking, platforms that fund grassroots innovation, media networks run by youth to tell real African stories. "The West taught us to imitate," Traoré said. "Now it's time to invent." They mocked Africa's silence, Elon said. "Let's make them listen to her voice." And that voice grew louder, not in the UN, but in digital classrooms. Code boot camps, clean energy startups, and youth parliaments. To the young person watching this, the one with no internet, no guidance, and no hope, listen closely. You are not your circumstances. You are not your pain. You are a pioneer in the making. Traoré can break chains with his mind, and Musk can bend reality with his imagination. And you too can rewire your future. This is not a call to follow, it's a call to lead. No degree, learn online, no money. Start with an idea, no support. Find your tribe, no permission. You don't need it, because this movement, this global shift, doesn't belong to the rich, the famous, or the powerful. It belongs to you. And Africa is no longer waiting. She's building. dream by dream, code by code, light by light. The message is simple. You don't need to escape to succeed. You need to build where you. Our Traoré is doing it. Musk is doing it. And now, it's your turn.